keep wondering, 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 when will my life begin?
Hey guys, so I took my DCP phone interview today. My phone interview was scheduled for 3:15. My interviewer called at 3:22. Her name is Carrie. She was really nice. Right off the bat, she told me that we would be on the phone together for about 20 minutes. Not too much more, not too much less. And that we would just go over a bunch of different types of questions, some logistical, some about the roles that I had chosen, and different things of that sort. So we got down to it, and the first couple things that she asked me were about my application. We went over where I wanted to work, and I had chosen spring for Walt Disney World. And then we talked about my work experience. She was really excited to hear that I had worked in a preschool for so long. So I talked about that, and I talked about another customer service job that I had at a supermarket, because both of those have a lot of good skills that I can use in Disney. And then from there, she went on to the next part of my application, which was where I chose my roles. And she read through all the roles that I had marked any interest in, and she reminded me that I would be considered for all of those roles, whether I chose them as a low interest, moderate interest, or a high interest. And then I agreed that I understood that, and she then asked me what my top roles were. She asked me for my top 3, but I asked her if I could give her my top 4 because I didn't want to knock one of my high interest roles out of the running. So I told her my top roles were Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, character attendant, photo pass photographer, and attractions. And then from there, she proceeded to ask me questions about each of the individual roles. One of the great things about that was that not a lot of interviewers ask you why you want your particular role, but Carrie asked me, so I got to explain to her why I was interested in each of those roles. And I talked a lot about getting a different kind of experience with children and with parents. And then she would ask me situational settings, like with Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. She asked me what I would do if a parent didn't like the makeover I had given their child. With character attendant, she asked me how I would respond if a parent was angry that they couldn't see the character they had been waiting in line for because he had to leave. She asked me for PhotoPass photographer how I would feel carrying heavy equipment, how much camera knowledge I have, and what I would do if someone didn't want my services. And that question tripped me up a lot because I wasn't expecting it at all, and I had never heard of it before. And then with attractions, we spent a little more time on, which I was surprised because it was my number 4 out of the list that I gave her. She asked me a lot of questions about whether I like working indoors or outdoors, and if I mind working at heights, and if I'm comfortable memorizing long speeches and then reciting them. But then that session wrapped up, and she asked me a couple questions about the Disney look and how I feel about living with a roommate and those kinds of things. All really easy, nothing to be afraid of or to be surprised by. And then that was basically it. Then she asked me if I had any questions for her, and I asked her how she got her start in Disney, and she absolutely loved that. She told me that she started as a college program student 20 years ago, which was really fun to hear. So I got to tell her how I would love to work for Disney in the long run, so it was great that I'm getting a good start. Some of the other questions that I forgot to mention, the biggest question that you will need to have a really good answer for is why you want to do the DCP. If you don't have an answer for that, then there's really no reason for you to apply. I talked about both personal and work-related answers. Personally, obviously, I love Disney. It's a huge part of my life, so I got to talk about that a little bit. And work-related, I got to talk about how it'll give me a different sort of experience with children and parents in the long run. She also asked a couple things about if I'd work as an individual or as a team if I want to work indoors or outdoors, at a slow pace or a fast pace. And she also asked how I would make a guest feel welcome when they came to my area. Overall, she just asked some really situational questions, very basic things that you would need to know for them in order to place you. Then at the very end, she thanked me for talking with her, thanked me for taking time out of my day to talk to her, and I thanked her for doing the same. And then she told me that I should hear back within 2 weeks, maybe 3, crossing my fingers that I won't have to wait that long. As for tips for people who haven't done their phone interview yet, make sure you say your interviewer's name at least once during the phone call. I wrote her name down right away when she said it, and I thanked her. I asked her a question. I said, yes, I do have a question. They really like that. So make sure you do that. It makes them know that you're engaged. Make sure you're smiling when you're talking. It sounds silly, but they can tell the difference between when you're talking like this and when you're just talking like in a monotone kind of voice. Also, something I did to really help me keep my focus was I stuck a couple Post-it notes all over my desk with talking points and things that I wanted to hit on or things that might help me answer questions. So that was really helpful. I was able to refer back to those, glance at them when she asked me a question that I got stuck on. It was really great. But overall, it was really fun. It was really easy. I was really nervous leading up to it, but she made me feel super comfortable. It felt like I was just talking to an old friend. So hopefully it goes by fast. But now it's the waiting game. So I guess we'll see what happens. Best of luck to all of you who are still applying. And if you're thinking about applying, I say definitely go for it, because you can always decline your offer if you decide that you can't do it or don't want to. Better to apply than not. I will make sure to keep you guys updated as to whether or not I get accepted or pended or declined. Either way, I'll let you guys know. Otherwise, you can check out my Tumblr link, which is below in my description. You can also follow me on Twitter or Instagram. Those are all in my description. My Tumblr has a lot of useful information about the DCP if you want to look at that. Otherwise, I'll see you next time, guys. Bye!